at a location, and if they believe so that there is some sort of activity basically taking place. But obviously, when the organization is going to, when any government organization is going to BBC, an organization like BBC, then obviously there will be eyebrows be raised. Reason being that there has recently been a film which basically targeted the current Prime Minister about the Godhra Roy. So certainly there will be eyebrows be raised, but then these cases or these all obviously have to stand in the court of law. Whenever any action is...
Ashish, thank you so much for that. In fact, we are playing those live visuals from outside the BBC office in the national capital, where IT team is currently at for undertaking that very survey that my colleague Ashish Mehrishi was talking about. And the conjectures that are going to be made because of this survey are many. And on those lines exactly is the Congress party now responding. Let's listen into the reaction that's come in by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh over this IT survey at the BBC offices in the national capital and in Mumbai.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी...
And my colleague Nikhil, who was with us on the broadcast, is now live with us from outside the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, what do you see? Have you managed to ascertain any more details? What is happening there?
आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है। Outside the BBC office in the national capital Delhi, this is the particular building where we have been given to understand that a team of the IT officials, they are very much present at this particular place. But as far as the further details are concerned, we have been told that only the survey is currently underway. This is the reason why at both the major cities, in the national capital and in the financial capital as well, that is Mumbai, a team of the income tax officials, they are present. And as per the details, we have been also given to understand that a while back a few members or few officials, so to say, of the income tax, they had reached at this particular place. And if we talk about the precise location, this falls in the national capital Delhi. KG Marg is the area where the office is. You can see as of now the routine affair is taking place, but outside this particular office, and also I would like to show you the visuals from the reception side. You can see there is presence of Delhi police officials as well, and this is a particular sign when a team of the agency, so to say, when a team of the agency, they reach out for any of the either for the survey or for other kind of official activity. This is something which is very much evident with the same, that inside there is presence of the income tax officials, and also outside this particular place there is heavy presence Greha of the national media as well, because this is the breaking piece of input and news, so to say, at least for today, where we have been given to understand that both in the cities Mumbai and national capital, a team of the income tax officials are very much present, but also currently the survey is underway. So what kind of activities roll out under the survey, this is something that we will have to wait for a while for the official version of, not just for the income tax department, but also at the same time from BBC India as well. Because remember, as far as the BBC is concerned, a few days back, this is something which was a reason of the controversy for entire country, especially for the Bharatiya Janata Party, where a documentary was released for Narendra Modi, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, by BBC, and it was clearly banned by the government of India under the IT Act rules, which are newly formed by the government. So amid all those details, now the officials of the income tax, they are present. Again, I would urge my camera person to keep showing you the visuals from this particular place, and also to man on the police as well, who are rightly present at this particular office. So we do not have much information, but the first piece of information says that the IT survey is currently underway in both the cities, in Delhi and Mumbai, inside the BBC office of the country. And also at the same time, we have been given to understand that the internal message has been circulated for all the officials, all the staff members, all the employees of BBC India, that they are not required to show up today for work and for this week as well. So what exactly is transpiring inside when the team of officials are present, this is something that we will have to wait for a while to get the official version. But also we have been, we are continuously telling all our viewers as well, media thing which we just saying, because in backdrop of the same, we have already told you that this was the controversial document, and this is something not just very simple. We have seen that how the major controversy erupted in different universities as well. If we talk about the national capital, we have seen that the controversy took place in Delhi University, in Jawaharlal Nehru University as well. We have seen the visuals coming out from Hyderabad as well. So there are multiple cities in the country who are reporting that this is something which was a major reason of controversy, and the official reaction had also come out from the government of India. They were in defense of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, clearly saying that the BBC is something which is always involved to paint against Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
All right,
and
Nikhil.
Also they have...
Absolutely. Nikhil, they're reporting from outside the BBC office in the national capital. We'll try and ascertain more details on this IT survey that is being conducted even as we speak in both the offices of Delhi and Mumbai of the British Broadcasting Corporation. Right now, slipping into a very short break and coming right back with lots more news and updates.
Nehru was Prime Minister. Then there is, of course, the case of Justice Hidayatullah, who served as the acting president while he was still the Chief Justice of India. The first time happened to be in 1969, when then President Zakir Hussain passed away while he was in office. Then Vice President V.V. Giri assumed the president's office as acting president, but in order to contest for the 1969 presidential elections, V.V. Giri had to resign from both positions, and Justice Hidayatullah was elevated as president. Then again in 1982, when President Zail Singh travelled to the United States for a heart surgery, Justice Hidayatullah once again served as acting president of India for a few weeks. Now, Justice Nazir was elevated to the Karnataka High Court bench at a very early age of 45. He spent 14 years at the High Court before his appointment as a Supreme Court judge on the proposal of a collegium that was led by then Chief Justice of India J.S. Keher. This was back in 2017. Justice Nazir was not even a Chief Justice at a High Court when he was elevated to the Apex Court. He was the fourth senior most amongst the judges of the High Courts at that point of time. He went on to be part of several momentous judgments delivered by the Supreme Court. He was, of course, part of the bench on the Ayodhya Babri Masjid dispute case, which delivered a unanimous verdict on allowing construction of Ram Mandir at the disputed site. He led the Constitution bench on demonetization, which upheld the note ban decision as valid. He was also part of the bench which ruled in the K.S. Puttaswamy case. This is the famous Aadhaar case. It held that right to privacy was a fundamental right. He also led the Constitution bench, which held that additional restrictions not found in Article 19(2) cannot be imposed on the right to free speech of ministers or legislators. There are also notable judgments in which Justice Nazir was a dissenting voice, like when the Supreme Court brought down the curtains on the 1,000-year-old practice of triple talaq amongst Muslims. Along with the then CJI Justice Keher, Justice Nazir had noted that talaq-e-biddat is a matter of personal law of Sunni Muslims, and that being a component of personal law, it has protection under Article 25 of the Constitution. He also noted that triple talaq among Muslims was an integral part of their religion and faith, and it cannot be dismissed as unconstitutional. At the most, he said in his judgment, that it can be called gender discriminatory practice that can be done away by way of legislation. Before he agreed with the unanimous verdict of the Ayodhya bench, he had earlier dissented against the majority view that refused to refer the issue to a larger bench. In September of 2018, a three-judge Supreme Court bench, in a majority opinion 2-1, declined to refer the question if a mosque as a place of prayer is an essential part of Islam. Justice Nazir observed that the question of what is essential or not essential in a religion cannot be decided hastily. He held that the question raised on the essentiality of offering prayers in mosques should be examined by a 7-judge bench before the Ayodhya suit appeals are heard. So let's take a look at where the 5 judges who were part of that historic bench which delivered the verdict in the Ayodhya Ram Janmabhoomi case, where are they today? Justice Ashok Bhushan, he retired as a Supreme Court judge in July of 2021. 4 months later, in November, he was appointed as the chairperson of the National Company Law Appellate Tribunal. Justice Sharad Arvind Bobde retired as Chief Justice of India in 2021. he has not held any public office after retiring. Justice Ranjan Gogoi, who was the head of that bench, he retired as the Chief Justice in November of 2019. 4 months later, he was nominated by the President and appointed as a member of the Rajya Sabha. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud, who's the current Chief Justice of India, he'll be in office till November.
Good afternoon. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. I'm Ridhima Bhatnagar, getting you all the top stories over the next 60 minutes. Let's begin with our top focus. We're now understanding there is an income tax team at the BBC offices, one in Mumbai and one in the national capital. What they're doing there, what is the purpose of this visit, those details are still awaited. Very sketchy details at this point, but the details that we have confirmed is that there are IT teams at the BBC office in Mumbai as well as the national capital. There was a message that was circulated among the BBC staff, and I'm quoting, "There is an emergency situation. All are requested not to go to office today and this week." Sources are also telling us here at CNN News 18 that the IT team is likely to reach at the BBC Kalina office. We'll still try and get the exact information of what really is happening. Let's first go across to Nikhil, who is joining us from outside the BBC offices here in the national capital. Nikhil, because the details are very sketchy, could you help us understand what really is happening? Any details that you've been able to pick up? How many members of the income tax team are there at the BBC offices in Delhi, and what is their purpose of the visit?
So, Ridhima, we are currently reporting from outside the BBC office in the national capital. This is the KG mark from where, outside where we are reporting from. And reportedly, a team of the income tax officials, they are very much present inside this particular office. And a while back, a team of the officials, we don't know the exact number as to how many official and the staff of the income tax officials they have reached inside. But clearly, this is something which is currently underway, not just in the national capital and in Mumbai, but now, as per the fresh information we have been given to understand that a team is currently, carrying out their work operation in multiple cities. So not just in the national capital and in the financial capital, Ridhima, but there are multiple locations where this is the current operation, so to say, is currently underway. And also in the visuals, you can see that a team of the Delhi police officials, they are very much present inside the premises where the, the so-called work of the income tax official at BBC office is currently underway. And also this is the internal message that we are continuously reporting about, which have been circulated to all the staff members and the employees of BBC currently working in the country, that they have to not show up for work today, and also they have to refrain using their personal cell phones and the official system as well, the workstation as well. They are refrained from using so. But also the information are rapidly changing. We have been now given to understand that this is not a part of the IT survey that was being talked about. So this is something which is a step more than just a survey. This is the reason why a multiple city operation is currently underway, and the backdrop of the same is very much important. Here we are continuously mentioning to all our viewers as well that few days back we have seen that how the controversial documentary was out in the public domain by BBC, which was made over the 2002 Gujarat riots, and it was clearly painting a certain kind of image of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and this is the reason why the documentary, which was released in 2 parts, it was blocked by the government of India. And we have seen the statements as well and the reactions as well, which were poured in from different ministers, particularly from the Bharatiya Janata Party. And of course, now we are learning that this is the opposition reaction which is coming in the name of Jairam Ramesh over this particular raids. He has been saying Vinash Kale Viprit Buddhi at that time when we are demanding JPC over the Adani issue. On other side, this is something which is currently taking place. So these are the visuals which we are continuously showing you on CNN News 18. So a direction has been issued to all the staff members, and also we have been given to understand that it is happening in multiple locations. Not a search, it is a survey, but can be converted in a case in case evidence is found by the team who are currently inside doing their work.
Right.
So what
Nikhil,
exactly
we'll keep the political aspect of it aside, and I'll get to that in just a bit. But just as far as the facts of what really is happening, because we're bringing those visuals to our viewers, we're understanding there is an IT team present at the BBC office in the national capital from where you're reporting. Do you have any more details of how many members were there in that income tax team? What time did they reach? And any more details as to whether they've spoken to any employees, any official word that's coming in from the BBC offices so far?
Well, Ridhima, as to how many number of officials are present, this is, very much difficult to say or quote a particular number at this hour. But as per the details, a while back, close to around 11 a.m. this morning, a team of the income tax officials, they had reached out at the BBC office. And if we talk about the location in particular, Ridhima, this is the KG Mark, which is in the central Delhi. So this is the place where a team of the officials, they are currently carrying out their work operation, so to say, and not just in the capital city, as we have been mentioning earlier as well, but in different parts of the country, including Mumbai and other important locations where the BBC offices are located in the country. At that place, a team of the IT officials, they are present. So the number could be, different in all the other cities. But as far as the details are concerned, we have been given to understand that all the employees, they are advised by the BBC that they have to not show up today for the work. And also all of those employees who are currently inside where the operation is currently taking place, they have been advised by the income tax officials not to use their personal cell phones as well, and they should avoid.
So Nikhil, we'll just request you to stay on with us. We'll try and get more details, but as you were also pointing out, the opposition now attacking the centre, some reactions coming in. We have a reaction now coming in from TMC's Mahua Moitra, who in fact is questioning the IT survey of BBC offices in the national capital and Mumbai. She's in fact put out a tweet, and that tweet says, reports of income tax raid at BBC's Delhi office. Wow, really? Question mark. How unexpected. Let's bring in our colleague and senior editor Pallavi Ghosh, who in fact has been tracking these developments for us. Multiple reactions coming in from the opposition, from Jairam Ramesh to Mahua Moitra. Just talk to us about the key points that are being made by various opposition leaders.
So, Ridhima, when the BBC documentary first came out, even then for the opposition, it had become a big issue to take on the BJP at that point of time. And now when we are seeing this IT survey carrying on at the BBC offices, both in Delhi as well as in Mumbai, once again for the opposition parties, this is exactly what the point that they are making. There are misuse of the agencies, whether it's ED, whether it's the income tax department. Every time someone wants to raise a question mark over the BJP, and this is the high-handedness of the BJP and of the central government once again. I think this is just a preliminary, kind of responses we're getting in. I think most of the opposition parties will be united on attacking the government on this. We already had the Congress party doing it. And now, of course, the Trinamool Congress is Mahua Moitra.
Okay. Pallavi, we'll leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Let's continue the conversation with Nikhil, who continues to report for us from outside the BBC office here in the national capital. And just look at the visuals that we're putting out for our viewers as well. So Nikhil, very sketchy details, but the details, let's reiterate them for our viewers. We do understand there is an IT team that's present at the BBC offices in Delhi as well as Mumbai. Earlier, you were talking to us about some internal message that was sent to employees as well. Talk to us about what that message said.
Well, this is something which was circulated inside for all the staff members or all the employees who are part of the BBC India, and this is something which says that they should refrain from coming to office for today and for this week as well. And this is the reason, because a team of the IT officials, but this is something that we know, the employees who are or those employees who are working from home, they must not be aware as to what exactly is happening inside their offices. This is the reason why we are here to give you each and every detail. So we are currently reporting from outside this particular office of BBC in KG Marg, where a team of the IT officials, they are present inside, and not just in the national capital, Ridhima, in financial capital Mumbai as well. A team of the IT officials, they are very much present at this place, and also the employees who are currently present inside these places, they have been advised not to use their personal cell phone, and they should strictly avoid using their official workstation as well. This is something which has been directed to all the employees by the team of IT officials, but we do not know exactly as to how many number of the officials they are present inside. They are carrying out with their work, but clearly around 10:30 or 11 a.m., that means a while back, an hour or two before, a team of the officials, they had reached out at this particular place. And also in the visuals, I would urge my camera person Ravinder Kumar to pan on on the Delhi police officials, the workers, the staff members who are also, and this is something which is a part of the protocol, that whenever a team of the agency, they carry out their work, so they are to be accompanied by the security personnel as well. This is the reason why a team of the Delhi police officials, they are also very much present at the same site, and in the backdrop of the same, we all know as to what transpired politically and from the government of India side as well. And now if we talk about the details outside the office, there is huge presence, heavy deployment of the national media, so there is chaos all around. In fact, the passers-by as well, they are asking as to what has gone wrong inside. So this is the breaking piece of information which is now brought to you, particularly on CNN News 18, where we have been given to understand that an internal message has been circulated to all those staff members who are part of the BBC India office. At the same time, there are certain directions as well, advisory as well, which has been given to the employees of BBC India who are currently inside, that they should refrain strictly from using their personal cell phones as well, and their official workstation as well. At the same time, we should wait for the official statement, both from the income tax office.
So as Nikhil is pointing out, as far as the Delhi office is concerned, all we know is that there is an IT team that's present, and there has been an internal message that has been circulated to BBC employees as well. Nikhil, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Let's bring in our colleague Yesha also to understand what's happening in Mumbai. Yesha, any details that you have of what's happening at the BBC office in Mumbai? How many members, how many teams, any details?
Ridhima, so what we understand from Mumbai is that there are two offices of BBC office, the BBC Studios office and not the BBC News office, which is under the scanner of IT. As of now, our IT sources confirm that it's a survey. They're not calling it a raid. There have been 12 employees who were inside that office. Their phones have been confiscated, and further inquiry is still going on at that office, is what we understand right now. But apart from that, employees who have not been in office, they've been sent a message asking them to not come to office today and for the next 1 week. This is the basic information that has come out from the BBC office, source from the BBC office. But the reason why this searches are being conducted, why this survey is being conducted at the BBC studios is also, there's no clarity on that, while IT officials are still tight-lipped as to why these surveys are being conducted. So as of now, it's just a preliminary information that there have been teams that have reached both the Delhi as well as Mumbai offices of BBC, and these are BBC studio offices where these searches are being conducted. Why these searches are being conducted? What is the context? What is the preliminary information that they are gathering from these these searches? Because post this survey searches, if they get concrete information from BBC, they could further go ahead and actually carry out raids and question people. So this basic survey would be on the basis of an information that the income tax department has received. There's a tip-off that they would have received. In order to confirm that tip-off or in order to ensure what is the further lead, is why this team has actually reached both these offices. It's quite a preliminary information, and it'll be too early to actually comment as to what exactly is going on by the income tax officials. As of now, there are just two locations across the city, across the country, which has been confirmed by the IT officials. But further information, we'd expect them to come out in the next few hours as the survey goes on and as the searches are still being conducted, because this information will actually reveal the fact as to why these searches were being conducted. Preliminarily, it's been these two offices that the IT team has reached, and in Mumbai that we speak about, it's the Kalina office where the IT team is currently present, is what we've gotten confirmation for, and there were 12 people inside that office, whereas there are other offices as well which has different departments of BBC working there, but there's been no confirmation if IT team has reached that offices as well or not. But this one office which has been confirmed, that's only at this one office that IT team is still present.
Okay,
yes,
so Yesha, as you were saying, because details are still sketchy as far as developments in Mumbai also are concerned, but you were saying that what sources are telling you that about phones were confiscated of 12 employees. Is that a usual procedure that's followed in cases like these?
It's actually unprecedented, because when it comes to a case like this, if a survey is being conducted, it's not the employees who are put under scanner. It's only when there's a raid or if there's a questioning that takes place is where even the employees, their phones, their digital evidences which need to be collected in order to ensure that they could be put in a piece of evidence. But here we've seen that this practice has taken place in Mumbai as well as Delhi, where phones have been seized of all the employees. That was only 12 employees were present in Mumbai, but their phones also have been seized. This could also be particularly so that the information does not go on to other employees. As a matter of fact, when there are agencies who are in fact looking into such cases, they ensure that the piece of information or any kind of communication for those who are not present there should not be leaked out. This could be a precautionary measure that the income tax officials would have taken, but in a case where it's just a survey and not a raid or a questioning, seizing of phones of employees is not really a pattern or not really a practice that really agencies really follow. Yes,
okay. Yesha, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Let's go back to Nikhil also to understand if he has any other details coming in as to what's happening at the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, as you were talking to our viewers a short while ago that an internal message was circulated asking employees to not come to work. Have you seen any employees leave the BBC office? Have they been able to confirm anything or what's happening inside?
Well, Ridhima, we are assuming if a current investigation, so to say, of income tax official is currently underway, then we are assuming at the same time that nobody would be allowed to leave the premises, which is as per the basic set of protocols when these kind of activities take place. And now you see in the visuals that this is the broad gate of the BBC office, and inside this particular premises, this is a huge building. So not just BBC employees are working here. There are, clearly other companies as well, corporates as well, who must be renting their office at this particular place, at this particular site. But nobody has left from the BBC office side. But now a commotion, so to say, we can see clearly at this particular place. In the visuals, you can see that a team of the, in fact, a personnel of the Delhi police official, he is present here as a part of the protocol. There are a few other members as well who must be working at this particular place, at this premises. They are out on this particular...
Nikhil, I apologize for interrupting. We in fact have Congress MP Gaurav Gogoi who is joining us on the broadcast. Good to have you on CNN News 18 with us. Your first response to the news coming in that there are IT teams present at the BBC office both in the national capital as well as Mumbai.
Well, I'm not surprised. Nobody is surprised. Everybody in India expected this from the BJP government under Prime Minister Modi. When the entire country wants this government to act tough and order a probe into the Adani Group, probe into the nexus between the Prime Minister and the Adani Group if there is nothing to hide, instead of ordering a probe, they are trying to distract the attention of the public by doing this so-called IT survey on an international media agency. Unfortunately, at a time when India holds the presidency of G20 group, when we should be showing the best of Indian democracy, Prime Minister is showing the worst of his authoritarian tendencies. So it's quite unfortunate. Nobody is surprised. Tomorrow tomorrow they might be send an IT team to your channel. Who knows? But nobody is afraid and nobody is surprised by the Prime Minister. This is exactly what we expected when the BJP is on the back foot and on the defensive when it comes to the Adani Group allegation.
But sir, and I'll go to Amit Malviya also in just a bit, but Gaurav, so what I'm essentially trying to understand is as of now we don't have a clarity whether this is a raid or not. We just understand that there is a presence of IT teams at the BBC offices, so we don't know what the reason or the intent behind the IT team present there is.
Well, I don't think you will ever get to know the intent. All you will get is some obfuscation, all you would get is some or spin. But I don't think you will get the truth, because the truth is everybody knows that this is Prime Minister Modi's way of deflecting from his allegations into the Adani Group, his silence, his government's weak stance. In a way, they have already given a clean chit to the Adani Group before ordering any investigation. If they are so concerned about India's image, why don't they order a probe into the Adani Group? Why doesn't an IT team probe into the serious charges of stock market manipulation? When is the SEBI team going to visit the Adani Group's headquarters and look into serious charges of circular trading and shell companies? So I don't think you will ever get the truth.
But Mr. Gogoi, as far as the Adani issue is concerned, I mean, we've already gotten multiple reactions coming in, right from the finance minister to others who've spoken at length as far as the Adani issue is concerned, and specifically as far as the issue that the opposition was raising as far as exposure of LIC and SBI is concerned. So that the finance minister and others have already set the record, and the management of the companies have also said that their exposure is very limited. But I'm only trying to understand as to what the opposition thinks is happening today as far as the BBC offices are concerned. What do you think, who do you think is behind it, and what do you think is really happening?
Well, your channel might be satisfied with the answers of the finance minister, but the people of this country are not. People know about the close relationship between Prime Minister Modi and the Adani Group. As I said, the government has already decided to give a clean check before any investigation is started, before any investigation is concluded, before any evidences are laid out. This government has already given a clean check. What kind of investigation have they done? What kind of impartial inquiry have they done? And that is why we wanted a JPC probe. That is why they are so scared that they removed the word Adani from the parliament's record. So it just shows. So this is nothing but a side show. The BBC documentary was an old issue, but they have raked up an old issue just so that your channels now, instead of talking about Adani, will not talk about this raid. But again, nobody is surprised that the BJP should not think that people of India are not politically mature. People of India are wise, they are savvy, and they have understood each of Prime Minister Modi's diversionary tactics.
Okay, so we'll leave the conversation there. Appreciate you joining us here on CNN News 18. Let's also bring in, we have BJP's Amit Malviya now joining us. Sir, thank you for patiently waiting. If you heard the conversation that I was having with Gaurav Gogoi and the other reactions that are coming in from the opposition, they're saying we're not really surprised. All the demands that have been asked by the opposition, there has been a deaf ear that has been shown to them by the government, and this is exactly the pattern of the central government.
Well, I did not hear your conversation or the reactions that came in earlier. But, if your specific question is on Adani, then the government of India, through its ministers, have clarified that the matter is being looked into by the regulators. And if anybody has proofs to the contrary, they should take it to the court and ensure that justice is meted out. Banks, institutions have clarified on their positions, on their exposure to the group. There is nothing more that the government has to say at this point in time, and there's nothing the BJP, for that matter, as a political entity, has anything to hide or defend. We're neither the spokesperson for any of these financial institutions or the regulators. They will give the specific response that they've given in the past. But if the opposition is feeling so edgy about it, like they were at the time of Rafale, they're free to approach the court and put evidence in front of the court.
Sure. Mr. Malviya, I was referring to the IT teams that are present at the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai. I was referring to the reactions that are coming in from the opposition. Mahua Moitra has put out a tweet saying, wow, really, is this unexpected? Question mark. You have a reaction coming in from Jairam Ramesh, who's saying the government is running behind BBC.
Well, I think you as media as well as the opposition leaders should first go find out the reason for this survey or the presence of the IT teams at the respective location. This is not the first time the agencies are doing their job. This is not the last time the agencies will do their job. And if the opposition is so excited about being the spokesperson for the BBC or for that matter any other agency, they are welcome to do so. But the agencies won't stop doing their job.
Okay. Mr. Malviya, we'll leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for joining us here on CNN News 18. Some other breaking developments also coming in now. Some other reactions also now coming in as we continue to get you the reactions that are coming in from the opposition who are now questioning the presence of the IT teams at the BBC offices here in the national capital as well as Mumbai. You now have a reaction coming in from the PDP chief, Mehbooba Mufti, who's also gone on to slam the centre, saying, hounding those with the truth. And I'm quoting from what Mehbooba Mufti is saying. Let's bring in Tejinder also in the conversation. Tejinder, talk to us about the reaction that's coming in from the PDP chief.
This reaction from PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti was on expected line when the government had earlier banned the BBC documentary, the so-called documentary. The Mehbooba Mufti at that time had also raised questions on the government of India, saying that government was censoring the such type of. And the income tax teams are there at the BBC office in Delhi and Mumbai. Mehbooba Mufti has once again targeted the government of India. Tweeted, and I quote, cause and effects of raid on the BBC office is quite obvious. Government of India is brazenly hounding those who speak the truth, be it opposition leaders, media, activists, or anyone else for that matter. The gloves are off, and there is a price one pays for fighting for truth. So for Mehbooba Mufti, the income tax teams doing survey at the BBC office means that the government of India is trying to hound those who are speaking against the government.
Okay.
But in reality, yes, Isma.
Right. Tejinder, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. Keep tracking those reactions for us. Let's also bring in, we have TMC MP Shaukator Ray also now joining us. So good to have you on the broadcast with us. How do you see the developments that are playing out? Very initial details, but we do know there are IT teams present at the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai.
It is very unfortunate. This should be condemned by all right thinking people. BBC has got a reputation throughout the world for fair and unbiased and courageous reporting. Now recently they made a documentary on Gujarat riots and the Prime Minister's involvement in the same. That documentary has been banned in India for all over.
Right. So, but the BJP is saying that the opposition is attacking the government. But as of now, we don't even know the reason behind the presence of these IT teams at the BBC offices. So, why is the opposition attacking the government is the question that the BJP is asking.
That is because that it is very common for the government to use their different organizations against people opposing them. They use the income tax, they use the ET, they use the CBI. This is what is happening. But what this will do to India is it will tarnish India's name as a thriving democracy. Because BBC is an independent organization. The Adani's offices are not rated in this country. BBC's offices are rated. This will create an impact throughout the world.
Okay. Okay, so we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for joining us here on CNN News 18. The opposition there attacking the government, asking why they're using the central agencies. But just to clarify for our viewers, we have very sketchy details as of now. All that we know is that there are IT teams present at the BBC office here in the national capital as well as in Mumbai. We'll go back to our colleagues Nikhil as well as Yesha, some visuals that we're putting out for our viewers as well. We also know that an internal message has been circulated for BBC employees asking them to not come to office. But let's go back to my colleague Yesha, who in fact has been tracking all these developments for us from Mumbai. Yesha, any more details that you're picking up now?
So as of now, the details that we've picked up from BBC, from people as well as the IT sources in Mumbai is that at Kalina is where the IT team is there presently, as well as there's a possibility that the Bandra office of BBC would also be under the scanner. So there's a possibility that the IT team might also be going to the BBC office at Bandra. But as of now, considering there were 12 people in the office, their phones have been confiscated. But it's obviously a very sketchy detail that's coming in. IT officials are saying that it's a survey and not a raid that's being conducted. But the matter behind the survey, that is the context behind this survey, is still not clear. So we're awaiting all these sketchy detail that's coming in with the fact that IT teams.
Yesha, I apologize for interrupting. We in fact have Farooq Abdullah who is joining us on the broadcast. Sir, thank you so much for taking our time and joining us here on CNN News 18. Your first reaction to the developments that are coming in, IT teams at the BBC offices in Delhi and Mumbai.
I feel it's very sad that an organization like BBC to be raided. I think this is the effect of the two series that they put forward on the PM. I think that is what is resulting now in this raid. I think one feels sad that India, which is known for its democracy, for its freedom, the curb on freedom of media and press is unfortunate.
Sir, I was just speaking to representatives of the BJP and they're saying that yes, the opposition is training their guns at the government, but as of now, we don't even know why the IT teams are present at the BBC offices. So why is the opposition already jumping to conclusions?
It's not a question of conclusion. Why at this time? Why not before? Why? We're not jumping on any conclusions at all.
The person you are
Okay, we'll just try and re-establish that connection with Mr. Farooq Abdullah, but he was also saying that the timing of when all of this is happening is questionable, a sentiment that has been reiterated by a lot of other opposition leaders as well. We also have KC Tyagi from the JDU also now joining us. So good to have you on the broadcast with us. How do you see the developments that are happening?
BBC अंतर्राष्ट्रीय ख्याति प्राप्त एक न्यूज एजेंसी है। हमने और भारतीय जनता पार्टी के नेताओं ने इमरजेंसी के दौरान भी और इंदिरा गांधी के राज में भी इसकी क्रेडिबिलिटी को लेकर के कई बार वक्तव्य दिए हैं। जब हम ऑल इंडिया रेडियो और दिल्ली दूरदर्शन को विश्वास नहीं करते थे तो जेल में भी और जेल से बाहर भी आपातकाल में हम इसकी खबरों पर ही विश्वास करते थे। आज इसके कार्यालय पे जो रेड चल रही है उसको लेकर के हम अफसोस में हैं और ये कोई अकेले भारत में नहीं, लगभग 150 मुल्कों में इसका कार्य क्षेत्र है। हो सकता है इनकम टैक्स के कुछ मामलों को लेकर के ये रेड हो रही हो, लेकिन इसका जो समय चुना गया है वो बहुत ही नाजुक है और गलत है और रहस्यमय है। ये रेड अगर अब से 6 महीने पहले होती तो समझ में आती थी, लेकिन इधर जो बीबीसी को लेकर के प्रकरण चल रहे हैं प्रधानमंत्री को लेकर के, तो ये समय बहुत गलत चुना है। इससे भारत की विदेशों में भी छवि खराब होगी।
जी,
और
बट त्यागी सर, बीजेपी का ये कहना है कि अभी तो हमें पता ही नहीं है कि आईटी टीम्स इन ऑफिसेस पे क्यों हैं, तो ऑपोजिशन अज्यूम क्यों कर रहा है कि आईटी टीम्स क्या कर रही है? बीजेपी का ये भी कहना है कि ऑपोजिशन एजेंसीज को काम क्यों नहीं करने दे रही है?
एजेंसीज काम करें, लेकिन ऐसे वक्त में ही क्यों काम करें जब बीबीसी को लेकर के सरकारी पक्ष उस पर आरोप और प्रत्यारोप में लगा हुआ है। 6 महीने पहले क्यों नहीं, साल भर पहले क्यों नहीं? इसके तो गुणगान मोदी जी से लेकर के अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी तक ने किए हैं कि ये दुनिया की सबसे क्रेडिबल एजेंसी है। फिर रातों रात अचानक क्या हो गया, ये भी हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी के अपने मित्रों से पूछना चाहते हैं। जेल के शिक्षकों में आपातकाल में हम और जनसंघ और आरएसएस के नेता रात को 7 बजे ही हम बीबीसी खोल लिया करते थे, क्योंकि भारत की किसी न्यूज एजेंसी पर हम लोगों को यकीन नहीं था। फिर आज क्या हो गया?
जी, केसी त्यागी जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए। सो द ऑपोजिशन वन आफ्टर अनदर फ्रॉम अक्रॉस political parties now reiterating the same sentiment. The questions that they're asking is that the timing is questionable as to when the IT teams are present at the BBC offices, both in the national capital as well as Mumbai. The BJP's counter is that why don't you just let the agencies do their work? Because as of now, we don't even know why the IT teams are present. Some breaking developments now coming in. Now, sources within the IT department, this is what they're telling CNN News 18. DG Mumbai has ordered an investigation into the BBC. Almost all offices of the BBC being covered by Mumbai team of the income tax. The IT team has found some data which reveals tax evasion by the BBC. Ashish Merishi is getting us all these breaking developments. Ashish, what are your sources telling you?
So my sources in that income tax department tell me that it was the Mumbai DG who was basically ordered investigation into this matter. And this was only done after the income tax department basically found certain details of tax evasion. And that is why, since we all know that it's a very sensitive subject, because BBC had recently done, a documentary which highlighted the role of the current Prime Minister into Godhra Royds. And that is why it's not a search. It's DG Mumbai who's basically called for a survey. Almost all offices of BBC are being covered. Tax department was only ordered after they found that there were certain, clues that the income tax department got about tax evasion. So, obviously people will try and join this current survey with the documentary, but my sources in the income tax department tell me that this was basically done only after they found certain evidence, certain of tax evasion. That is what my sources in the income tax department have confirmed to me.
Okay. Ashish, thanks a lot for getting us all those details. We in fact also have BJP's Ram Kadam now joining us on the broadcast. So बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमसे बात करने के लिए। ऑपोजिशन का ये कहना है कि जब IT टीम्स प्रेजेंट हैं बीबीसी के ऑफिसेज में दिल्ली और मुंबई में, उसका टाइमिंग काफी क्वेश्चनेबल है।
Tell me one thing, if any investigation agency
takes any action. Why every time opposition wants to politicize those issues? What they want? They want that our investigation agencies, for that matter, income tax, ED, they should not take any action. What is their wish? Every time they cannot politicize these issues, and as far as the income tax department is concerned, they do not take any action overnight. Then all the officers, they go through all the documents, they study thoroughly, and then after that, if there is any suspicious thing, then only they take action. Just for a petty politics, they cannot indulge into such kind of allegations.
Right. So just look at some of the reactions that are coming in. It all started with Congress's Jairam Ramesh, who's saying here the opposition is demanding a JPC or a Joint Parliamentary Committee. And here, look what's happening as far as the BBC offices are concerned. Mahua Moitra of the TMC is saying, really, is this even unexpected? Farooq Abdullah also. So the sentiment that one is picking up is that the opposition is now a jointed one as far as the developments of the BBC are concerned.
No. They do not have any other points which they can raise. Because in the parliament session also, when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji spoke on the various subjects, they do not have any valid allegations. So that's the reason why they have been politicizing this issue.
Okay. So we'll leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for speaking to us here at CNN News 18. As we said, this is a story that we continue to track very, very closely. Our colleagues continue to get us developments both from the national capital as well as Mumbai. Nikhil is reporting for us from outside the BBC offices here in Delhi, and Yesha is tracking all the developments taking place in Mumbai. Yesha continues to be with us on the broadcast. Yesha, so we're getting some other details also. Ashish Mehrishi was getting us these details, and this is what IT sources are telling him, that the DJ Mumbai in fact had ordered an investigation. Almost all offices of the BBC being covered by the Mumbai team of the income tax. What Ashish is also picking up for our viewers is that the IT team in fact has found some data which reveals tax evasion by the BBC. Any details that you're picking up by means of sources?
As of now, the preliminary information that we've received is that the income tax officials are very much present at the Kalina office of BBC, but it's also the Bandra office, the Linking Road office, where there are other functions of BBC that operate from there, which is also under the scanner of IT. Like Ashish has already mentioned, that this was in fact an information which was passed on by DG IT from Mumbai, wherein he had asked for these tax evasions to be under the scanner, and which is where, because there are these tax evasions which are still under the scanner of income tax, we see that these surveys are being conducted. But it's only once these surveys reveal or have any kind of facts that income tax officials can actually look after is where we could further be able to comment, or IT officials can actually further go ahead with their investigation. But apart from that, it is the employees of BBC who were currently at the office. They've been asked to not communicate with anyone. Apart from that, there have also been other details which have come in from sources at BBC as well, who are saying that there'll be an official statement that BBC would release, but until then, employees have also been asked to not speak to anyone. There were people who were inside the office whose phones have been confiscated, so that there can be no further communication that can take place, and the books as well as details, that is the data of BBC, their finances are also under the scanner of income tax. Yes.
Okay. So Yesha, just to help our viewers understand this story better, are the IT teams present at only one particular office of the BBC in Mumbai, or are we looking at multiple teams here?
So there are multiple locations in Mumbai. As of now, the confirmation is for one location, which is at Kalina, but there are other locations as well, which includes the Bandra location as well, where the BBC team might also be going there to get more details. This functioning that we talk about, particularly at Kalina, is of BBC Studios. Like we spoke about the documentary in question, which was released a few weeks back. So in that case, it is the BBC Studios office which looks into these details. But apart from that, now there are other functions which are functioning from locations at Bandra, where the IT team would also be reaching very soon, and there's a possibility that further investigation could also take place from that office. Yes.
Okay. Yesha, we leave the conversation there. This is a story that we'll keep tracking very, very closely. We're slipping into a very short break. We're coming back with lots more.
Basically taking place. But obviously when the organization is going to, when any government organization is going to BBC, an organization like BBC, then obviously, there will be eyebrows be raised. Reason being that, there has recently been a film which basically targeted the current Prime Minister about the Godhra Roy. So certainly there will be eyebrows be raised, but then these cases or these all obviously have to stand in the court of law. Whenever any action is...
Ashish, thank you so much for that. In fact, we are playing those live visuals from outside the BBC office in the national capital, where IT team is currently at for undertaking that very survey that my colleague Ashish Mehrishi was talking about. And the conjectures that are going to be made because of this survey are many. And on those lines exactly is the Congress party now responding. Let's listen into the reaction that's come in by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh over this IT survey at the BBC offices in the national capital and in Mumbai.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी...
And my colleague Nikhil, who was with us on the broadcast, is now live with us from outside the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, what do you see? Have you managed to ascertain any more details? What is happening there?
आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है। Outside the BBC office in the national capital Delhi, this is the particular building where we have been given to understand that a team of the IT officials, they are very much present at this particular place. But as far as the further details are concerned, we have been told that only the survey is currently underway. This is the reason why at both the major cities, in the national capital and in the financial capital as well, that is Mumbai, a team of the income tax officials, they are present. And as per the details, we have been also given to understand that a while back a few members or few officials, so to say, of the income tax, they had reached at this particular place. And if we talk about the precise location, this falls in the national capital Delhi. KG Marg is the area where the office is. You can see as of now the routine affair is taking place, but outside this particular office, and also I would like to show you the visuals from the reception side. You can see there is presence of Delhi police officials as well, and this is a particular sign when a team of the agency, so to say, when a team of the agency, they reach out for any of the either for the survey or for other kind of official activity. This is something which is very much evident with the same, that inside there is presence of the income tax officials, and also outside this particular place there is heavy presence Greha of the national media as well, because this is the breaking piece of input and news, so to say, at least for today, where we have been given.
Welcome back. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Now, sources are telling us that multiple teams of the Income Tax Department are conducting surveys at the BBC offices located in both the national capital as well as Mumbai. Now, the surveys are reportedly being conducted over allegations of tax irregularities. As per sources, we are also understanding the DG of Mumbai has ordered an investigation into the BBC as the IT department has found data which reveals tax evasion. The BBC's balance sheets and account details have been reportedly sought by the IT department. BBC employees have also been asked to go home or stay at home. Let's also now bring in our colleagues to understand what really is happening at the BBC offices, both in the national capital as well as Mumbai. Let's bring in our colleague Anshul first, who in fact is joining us from outside the Delhi BBC office. Anshul, any details that you're picking up? Are IT teams still present at the BBC office?
So yes, the IT teams are still present at the BBC office. What we have been told that it has been approximately 2 hours since the team of IT officials went inside the BBC office and they have been continuing with their survey. What we have also been told that any discrepancies are found in the survey that is being conducted right now, then the survey could itself be converted into a raid. So yes, the BBC, the Income Tax Department now making sure that all the proofs that they have against the BBC of financial irregularities that are being treated and proofs about that are being found inside the offices of the BBC as of now. However, we have seen a lot of politics that has happened over it already, but this entire raid has nothing to do with the editorial call that has been taken by the BBC, but yes, the entire raids have to do with the financial transactions that the BBC has done over the past many years, especially in the national capital and in Mumbai. So yes, these raids are going on. I'll try and show you the visuals inside. I'm standing at the gate of the BBC office in the national capital. Many of the employees working for the BBC have now stepped out of their offices and are now standing outside waiting for these surveys to get over, because generally in surveys what happens is that a survey the team of officials go in the office, they collect all the evidences that they required, or they look at all the papers that they need to look at, and they come out. But this time around, the surveys that are being conducted in these surveys, what we have been told from sources is that the employees who were present inside the building, they have been asked not to use the official systems. They have also been asked to not use their mobile phones while they are inside the office premises. So yes, this is something that is unheard of, and this is something that the during IT surveys, this is something that does not happen. So yes, it remains to be seen as to what are the findings of the Income Tax Department as they will come out in the next few hours is what we are expecting. But yes, this time around the survey is being conducted. The employees who were present inside the offices of the BBC are still inside. They haven't been asked to leave from the office and get back to their homes. They are still very much present inside the offices waiting for this survey to end. Once this survey ends, we could get more clarity and we could expect a statement from the BBC as to what is their stance on this survey that has been conducted and the accusations of irregularities that have been posted against them.
Okay. Anshul, we'll request you to stay on with us. Our colleague Nikhil is also joining us. He's also tracking developments as far as the BBC office in Delhi is concerned. We also have Yesha joining us, tracking all developments taking place in Mumbai. Yesha, coming to you first. Any details that you're picking up now? How many members of the IT team still present at the BBC offices in Mumbai?
Very well. We are right here at the main office of BBC. This was around 10:30, 11 is what we understand from sources, is where the IT team had reached this office. In fact, what's also being seen is that as per the protocol of the central agencies, as it should be followed, they had informed the local police, and certain members of the local police station are also present as per the protocol. But as of now, there are, say, approximately 10 to 12 officials from the income tax team who are there inside this office. There were 3 to 4 vehicles which had come in this morning with the officials, and approximately it's been, say, 3 hours now ever since these officials have reached the BBC office, and the surveys and the searches are still on. Like my colleague has already mentioned, that this pertains to certain transactions done by BBC, which is why the survey is being conducted. On the basis of the information that they gather now, that is income tax officials only, once they gather details, will we get more clarity as to what these transactions were. As of now, there are certain employees of BBC who are still inside, and their phones were taken, and they were asked to not communicate with anyone about the actions that is being taken by the central government officials right now inside. So this is a preliminary information that's in fact coming from our IT sources. It's multiple locations where these raids are actually being conducted in Mumbai. As of now, the only confirmed location in Mumbai is this Kalina location, but there are certain other locations as well where the IT team is currently present, the location of which has not yet been confirmed by the team.
Okay. Yes. Yesha, we'll just request you to stay on with us. We'll just continue the conversation with our colleagues in just a bit, but some other political reactions also now coming here. Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav has also now taken a dig at the centre, calling the IT survey of the BBC offices as a declaration of ideological emergency. Multiple political reactions continue to come in. Now you have the SP chief also taking a dig at the centre. Let me go back to Nikhil also. Nikhil, we'll talk about the political reactions in just a bit, because you're seeing many of them and it's almost looking like a joint opposition attacking the centre. But when we say that this is a survey that is being conducted by the IT teams, what is the procedure that is followed in a case like this?
Well, as far as the procedure is concerned, Ridhima, Ashish Maharshi would better be able to tell us as to what are the technicalities which are involved during these said activities by the income tax officials. But let us talk about the basics. As the name suggests, if the officials of the income tax department, if they are present inside this particular premise, which is of the BBC Delhi office, clearly they are going to scan the financial documents of that particular company where they are currently present, and also they are verifying the document for the accounts of department. And at the same mentioned department, we have been given to understand that the cell phones of all those staff members, they have been impounded by the IT officials, and after taking the proper backup, electronic backup as well of entire data of these staff members, then it will be given back to all those persons who with whom the cell phone actually belongs to. So this is something that we are given to understand. Also at the same time, the IT officials are going to check each and every detail for the source of income for the BBC our country, and apart from it, additionally they are going to see and check as well, cross verify as well, if there is any tax evasion in any form done by BBC office in this particular country. This is the reason why a team of the IT officials, they are very much present inside this place. You can see that this is the gate of that particular building where the office is situated at the KG Mark in the national capital, and these are the few workers who work at this particular building. So not just there is office of BBC, there are other corporate offices as well which are placed at this particular place. And as per the details, if we talk about the protocols, they are supposed to inform the local police officers as well. This is the reason a team of police officials, they were also dispatched along with the IT team to carry out the functional, the technicalities, so to say, when these kind of activities take place. So we don't know as to how many number of the staff member of the IT team are currently present, but we have been given to understand that at about 10:30 or 11 a.m. they had reached at this particular place. And in the national capital, Ridhima, in Mumbai city as well, the same kind of activity is taking place. So if we talk about the conclusion, the verification of the accounts department, the audit, so to say, as per the procedures laid down by the income tax rules, they are being checked by the income tax officials, and they are also scanning as to what are the sources of funds which are received by the BBC India, and also at the same time, as mentioned earlier as well, if any of the tax evasion has taken place or not. But the timing of the same are very much important. You see, there is positive and negative message as well. It is on the viewer and the reader to read and view between the lines that we are currently reporting from outside the BBC office. But the reactions are pouring in from different political parties. We are seeing now Akhilesh Yadav, who is the president of the Samajwadi Party, is clearly saying that this is the ideological emergency which is brought in by the current establishment. A while back, we were also covering the press conference by communication head of Congress Party, Mr. Jairam Ramesh. He has also said on the same lines, he has said that on one side we are demanding the joint parliamentary committee on the Hindenburg report over Adani. On other side, this is the so-called activity which is being carried out by the government of India, and Vinash Kale Viprit Buddhi is the term which has been used by
multiple
the
political reactions coming in, as you're rightly pointing out, Nikhil, and they continue to trickle. But let's continue the conversation with Anshul and Yesha also. Anshul, as Nikhil is also confirming for our viewers that the IT teams are still present at the BBC office, outside which both of you are reporting for us. But I want to understand, do we have any more details that are coming in as part of the internal communication? Earlier in the day, we had pointed out to our viewers that a message was sent to employees asking them to not come to office or stay at home. Post that, has there been any other communication? Okay, Anshul, I'll just request you to stay on with us. I'll just come back to you in just a bit. From the TMC, we in fact have Majid Memon now joining us on the broadcast. So good to have you on the broadcast with us. How do you see the developments that are playing out? Sir, can you hear me? Sir, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Tell me.
Sure. Sir, we're understanding there are IT teams present at the BBC offices in Delhi as well as Mumbai. How do you see the developments?
What is happening in BBC office?
There are IT teams that are present at the BBC offices both in Delhi as well as Mumbai.
Well, IT has to do its legitimate duty wherever there is complaint or evidence with regard to any financial irregularities. But then it must not appear that this is a witch hunt. Unfortunately, BBC is very much in news for its alleged reporting of the 2002 riots. This documentary is so much spoken about. And now, is it the fallout of BBC's exposure?
Sure.
If it is, it will be very unfortunate. And I think if the IT is welcome to do its duty only where there is legitimate cause for doing so.
Sure. Sure. So we leave the conversation there. Thanks a lot for joining us here on CNN News 18. I'd like to thank all our colleagues also. This is a story that we'll keep tracking very, very closely. But as of now, it's a wrap from my side. Thanks a lot for watching. News continues here on CNN News 18.
The Godhra riots. So certainly there's going to be a political twist to the entire story. But as of now, what we can confirm is that it's not a raid. That is for sure. My sources in the income tax department tell me that it's not a raid. It is basically, it's basically a survey. And survey is basically, where, it can be converted into a raid later on in case they are able to find certain details which basically, point out to any tax evasion. But as of now, yes, all we can confirm is that there is a survey which is happening at the BBC office in various locations, which include Delhi and Mumbai.
Okay. Ashish, thank you so much for clarifying that for our viewers. Once again, putting it out there, it's an IT survey that is happening at BBC offices in both Mumbai and Delhi. However, Ashish, this thing that you're mentioning about an income tax survey, this, of course, involves an investigation process that is carried out to actually ascertain the actual income and other, situations. Will this not be impacting the financial income and other stuff that obviously makes a part of the IT survey? Why else is the IT department involved?
So, basically, whenever there is some information which relates to some sort of tax evasion or financial evasion, tax evasion by any organization, and the government believes, especially the CBDT believes so, the income tax department believes so, that there is some sort of tax evasion which has taken place, and that is why they can do a survey, and the survey can subsequently be turned into a raid. For any raid, you need basically the approval of the Director General, the concerned Director General of that zone. But here, if you need a survey, even a local officer can do a survey at a location, and if they believe so that there is some sort of tax evasion basically taking place. But obviously, when the organization is going to, when any government organization is going to BBC, an organization like BBC, then obviously, there will be eyebrows be raised. Reason being that, there has recently been a film which basically targeted the current Prime Minister about the Godhra riots. So certainly there will be eyebrows be raised, but then these cases or these all obviously have to stand in the court of law. Whenever any action is...
Ashish, thank you so much for that. In fact, we are playing those live visuals from outside the BBC office in the national capital, where IT team is currently at for undertaking that very survey that my colleague Ashish Mehrishi was talking about. And the conjectures that are going to be made because of this survey are many. And on those lines exactly is the Congress party now responding. Let's listen into the reaction that's come in by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh over this IT survey at the BBC offices in the national capital and in Mumbai.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी...
And my colleague Nikhil, who was with us on the broadcast, is now live with us from outside the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, what do you see? Have you managed to ascertain any more details? What is happening there?
आवाज आ रही है?
News 18 with me, Grihat Siddiqui, and we are on our top focus story this afternoon, and this is to do with the multiple teams of Income Tax Department that are currently conducting surveys at the BBC offices that are located both in the national capital and also in Mumbai. Now, these IT surveys are reportedly being conducted over allegations of taxation irregularities. And as per sources, the DG of Mumbai has ordered an investigation into the BBC as the Income Tax Department has found data which reveals tax evasion. The BBC's balance sheets and account details have been reportedly sought by the Income Tax Department. BBC employees have also been told to go home who had in fact already come to office or stay at home for this entire week. My colleague Nikhil is joining me live from outside the Delhi office of the BBC. Yasha is joining me from the Mumbai office. Nikhil, I'll come to you first. Any more employees remaining who have been asked to go back? What is the current situation as the IT teams are still there conducting this survey?
Well, to talk about the current situation, we are reporting from outside the Delhi BBC office at the KG Marg in the national capital. This is the fresh visuals, Greha, that are being played out on the screens of CNN News 18. So this is the particular building, and a team of the IT officials, they are currently present inside this particular area, and you can see there is some of the commotion which is now seen outside the offices. So some of the employees of the BBC who are working here in the national capital, they are present inside the building, and also their phones have been impounded by a team of the IT officials, and a team of the Delhi police are also present as per the protocols. And we have been further given to understand, Greha, that this is the verification of the Department of Accounts of the BBC India office. They are, verifying all the facts and figures. They are also checking if the tax evasion in any form has taken place or not. And to those staff who are particularly part of the Accounts Department, their phones have been impounded, and the data scanning is currently underway. And after taking the, the data backup, all the cell phones will be returned to those people where it belongs to actually. But this is the current situation that we are talking about at about 10:30 or 11 a.m. A team of the IT officials, we don't know as to how many numbers a team of the IT officials were present, but the survey or raid, whatever you call it, it is currently underway, and the audit or the verification is currently taking place by a team of the IT officials.
Right.
And they are
Nikhil, have you managed to speak to the
detail,
guards at the office in Delhi? Are they allowed to even talk?
Well, so outside this particular office, Greha, you can see that this is the huge gate, because there is not just office of a single BBC, company, but there are other corporate offices as well, which are very much placed at this place. Because of the huge, deployment of the national media, the gates have been closed. So nobody is allowed to even communicate for all those people who are part of this, premises. We have also tried to establish a connection with the friends, so to say, or the colleagues, so to say, who are part of this particular place, but they are also not in the contact.
And Nikhil,
so
that is a very important point that you have actually brought forth for our viewers. This particular building where the BBC office is in the national capital is on KG Marg, very, very close to Connaught Place. And this is the HT Media building where they are housed at. There are other organizations, also a news organization, by the way. What is happening to the staff of those offices? Have they also not been allowed to come out, considering there is a usual thoroughfare that is always seen in and around this building?
Also, to add on this particular piece of information, Greha, this building from where outside we are reporting from, this is just opposite to the British High Commission near the Connaught Place. So this makes it even a prominent place, a prominent location. And as far as the employees of the other companies are concerned, we are assuming, since we are currently reporting from the main gate of this particular place, so we are assuming there must be other gates as well from the entry or exit would be taking place. So we have not been able to establish a connection or speak to any of the member who are part or as a corporate employee who are part associated for this particular building. But clearly you can see that this is the gate which is closed, and a team of the IT officials and a team of the Delhi police, they are very much present inside the building, and they are verifying.
Nikhil, I'll request you to stay on with us, please. We are getting some breaking news, and this is some information that we've managed to gather through our Income Tax Department sources. Now, we've been told that this IT survey is on the basis of international taxation and transfer pricing irregularities, because of which this survey is being done at the BBC office. The documents related to the business operations of the company and those related to the Indian arm are currently being surveyed, and hence you can see the IT teams at both the Delhi and Mumbai offices of the BBC. My colleague Yasha Kortak is with us for more details on this very aspect that we are breaking for our viewers at that moment. Yes, Yasha, what have you learned from your IT sources?
So as of now, like you rightly mentioned, Kriha, these surveys that we talk about at the BBC office are in fact being done on the basis of the international transfer, taxation and transfer pricing irregularities that we speak about. This is what our income tax sources have in fact informed us. And when they speak about these surveys, they're saying that it's the internal documentation as well as the Indian documentation that they will want to procure from BBC, and which is why these surveys are being conducted. When you speak of surveys being conducted in Mumbai, it's only at this Kalina office of BBC where these surveys are going on. There is no such survey at Bandra office. But what also needs to be seen is that income tax officials have said that it's a multi-location survey. So what are the other locations? There's no clarity on what these other locations are. In fact, they've ensured that it's only the BBC operations that they are looking at, and there'll be no personal verification or any kind of a survey at the residences of promoters related to BBC. Because what we'd seen was earlier mobile phones of those employees who were working overseas, which is where this information is coming in, that these mobile phones were seized as a protocol so that the information does not go out. And what you see right now, right behind me, is this Kalina office of BBC, which is currently being surveyed by the income tax officials. It's been approximately 3.5 hours ever since the IT team has reached here. There are approximately 12 officials from income tax team which are inside this office. They reached around 10:30, 11 this morning, and ever since then these surveys are being conducted. There were approximately 3 to 4 vehicles that they had come in, but now the protocol that's being followed by the IT team at this BBC office is that documents related to the business operations of the company.
All right, Yasha, I'm really sorry I'd have to interrupt you. We're cutting across to a BJP press conference that has been addressed by Gaurav Bhatia, and he's talking about this entire IT survey.
आने का सिलसिला जारी है, चाहे वो कांग्रेस पार्टी हो, चाहे टीएमसी हो, और चाहे वो समाजवादी पार्टी हो. ये हर भारतीय के लिए एक चिंता का विषय है. सबसे पहले तो कांग्रेस पार्टी को यह समझना होगा कि भारत संविधान और कानून के तहत चलता है, और ये श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व वाली सरकार है. यहां पे कोई भी एजेंसी हो, आईटी हो, इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट, चाहे जांच एजेंसियां हो, ये वो पिंजरे का तोता नहीं रही हैं जो सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने कांग्रेस पार्टी की सरकार को फटकार लगाई थी. ये अपना काम कर रही हैं. और सवाल आज ये भी कहा जाएगा, कोई भी एजेंसी हो, मीडिया से जुड़ी हो, कंपनी हो, अगर भारत में वो काम कर रही है तो उसको भारत के कानून को मानना होगा, उसका पालन करना होगा. अगर कुछ गलत किया नहीं है, कानून का पालन किया है, तो फिर डर कैसा, फिर चिंता कैसी? आयकर विभाग को अपना काम करने दिया जाना चाहिए, और दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी हो जाना चाहिए. सबसे पहले यह कहना आज गलत नहीं होगा. बीबीसी के अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो यह पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉरपोरेशन हो गई है. और दुख की बात यह है कि बीबीसी का प्रोपेगेंडा और कांग्रेस का एजेंडा एक साथ मेल खाता है. हम सब जानते हैं कि विश्व पटल पर किस तरह से श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में भारत आगे बढ़ रहा है, G20 की अध्यक्षता कर रहा है। बहुत सी ऐसी शक्तियां हैं जिनको ये बिल्कुल नहीं भाता है, और जब जब भारत आगे बढ़ता है तो ये एजेंसियां हों या राहुल गांधी और कांग्रेस पार्टी और जो राजनीतिक दल विपक्ष में हैं, उनको बड़ा दर्द होता है। सबसे पहले तो बीबीसी का जो इतिहास है, कलंकित, काला, द्वेष भावना से भारत के खिलाफ कार्य करने का रहा है, और कांग्रेस पार्टी को सबसे पहले तो ये याद करना चाहिए किस तरह से देश की प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी जी ने खुद बीबीसी पे बैन लगाया। बीबीसी रिपोर्टिंग करे, निष्पक्ष पत्रकारिता करे, भारत का संविधान ये हक उन्हें देता है, लेकिन किस तरह की पत्रकारिता की आड़ में एक एजेंडा आगे बढ़ाया जाता है, वो मैं आपके समक्ष रख दूं। There is a reporting that was done by the BBC in a program. They unleashed the most venomous attack against our country. The program presenter referred to a commander of a terrorist outfit operating in Kashmir as charismatic young militant. एक आतंकवादी जो भारत की अखंडता के खिलाफ शक्ति खड़ी हो रही है, उसको बीबीसी ने बताया करिश्माई युवा उग्रवादी है। ये करिश्माई युवा उग्रवादी, ये किस तरह की रिपोर्टिंग है? आप भारत में कार्य करना चाहते हैं और भारत के संविधान को तार तार करते हैं, भारत की अखंडता को चोट पहुंचाने का प्रयास करते हैं। इसी तरह से पूरे विश्व में भारत अपनी संस्कृति, अपनी विविधता के लिए जाना जाता है। यहां क्या त्योहार हैं, सबके क्या भाव हैं, वो बिना जाने बीबीसी ने कहा होली इज अ फिल्थी फेस्टिवल। BBC, what do you know about the festivals of India? And citing this example will go a very long way to show how venomous, how shallow the reporting of the BBC is. Adding to that, we all revere father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi ji. But BBC wishes to operate in India, yet refuses to respect the icons of the country. The BBC very categorically in a program, and its presenter had the temerity to say that Mahatma Gandhi had failed in his attempt to liberate India in 1946. And BBC should definitely also pay heed to the words of UK's longest serving Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher. She had called the BBC as Bolshevik Broadcasting Corporation. These examples are very important for a fundamental reason, and the reason is this. India is a country which gives an opportunity to every organization, every individual, as long as you are willing to abide by the constitution of our country, as long as you do not have a hidden agenda, as long as you don't spew venom, and as long as the facts that you bring out in public domain and you disseminate have a basis. It can't be whims and fancies of a corporation. And this cannot be tolerated. Having spoken about the BBC, there are larger questions to be asked to the opposition parties who have not even fulfilled their responsibility of exercising restraint. और ये कहना गलत नहीं है. क्यों ऐसा होता है कि कांग्रेस का हाथ देश विरोधियों के साथ हमेशा? पहला सवाल कांग्रेस पार्टी से यह पूछना चाहिए सबको. हम पूछ रहे हैं, जनता पूछ रही है. अगर एक संस्था, कानूनी संस्था अपना कार्य कर रही है और अभी वो कार्रवाई पूरी भी नहीं हुई है, उसका निचोड़, उसका निष्कर्ष बाहर भी नहीं आया है, किस आधार पर कांग्रेस पार्टी, समाजवादी पार्टी, तमाम विपक्षी दल जो भी देश विरोधी ताकत है उसके साथ खड़े हो जाते हैं? आपका चरित्र ऐसा क्यों बन गया है कि आप संयम नहीं बरत सकते? आपका चरित्र ऐसा क्यों बन गया है कि जो भी देश विरोधी ताकत होगी, चाहे वो चीन हो, चाहे वो बीबीसी, और कई बार हमने देखा कि आतंकवादियों के साथ कांग्रेस का हाथ, और तमाम ऐसे मुल्क हैं जो भारत के खिलाफ षड्यंत्र करते हैं और उनके साथ कांग्रेस पार्टी खड़ी होती है. यह सवाल आपसे बार बार पूछा जाएगा. पहला, जो कार्रवाई इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट कर रहा है, अभी वो समाप्त नहीं हुई थी, तो ऐसी क्या जल्दबाजी थी कि इस पे आपने ओछी हल्की घटिया राजनीति करी? क्यों नहीं संयम दिखाया कि रिपोर्ट आने का इंतजार करते? और यह न्यायालय का काम है, वो तय करेगी कि किसी भी जांच एजेंसी का या किसी विभाग का कार्य कानूनी तौर पे सही है या द्वेष भावना से किया गया है. तीसरी बड़ी बात, आप ये भूल जाते हैं कि इसी बीबीसी के खिलाफ जब आपकी सरकार थी तो प्रतिबंध लगाया गया. जब बैन आपने लगाया तो वो ठीक है, लेकिन अगर आयकर विभाग अपनी कार्रवाई कर रहा है तो मोदी जी से नफरत आपकी इतनी है कि आप उसको भी राजनीतिक रंग दे रहे हैं. और सबसे महत्वपूर्ण सवाल जो पूछा जाना चाहिए, कांग्रेस पार्टी क्यों ऐसा चरित्र दिखाती है कि किसी भी संवैधानिक संस्था और कानूनी संस्था पर इनका विश्वास नहीं होता है। चाहे वो देश का सर्वोच्च न्यायालय हो, चाहे वो प्रधानमंत्री का पद हो, चाहे वो भारत की सेना हो, चाहे वो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया हो, चाहे वो सीएजी हो, और अब ईडी सीबीआई पे भी आप आरोप लगाते हैं, लेकिन न्यायालय जाते हैं तो आपको कोई रिलीफ नहीं मिलता है। आयकर विभाग पे भी आपका विश्वास नहीं है, तो आपका विश्वास केवल ऐसी संस्थाओं पे है, ऐसी एजेंसियों पे है जो भले भारत का नुकसान कर दे, लेकिन आपकी राजनीतिक रोटियां सेकने के लिए आपको तवा मिलता रहे। ये बेहद ही निंदनीय है, दुर्भाग्यपूर्ण है। और मैं इतना ही कहूंगा, कोई भी जांच एजेंसी हो या कोई भी विभाग हो, अगर वो अपना कार्य कर रहा है और उस पे इस तरह की राजनीतिक रोटियां सेकी जा रही हैं, तो देश की जनता देख रही है कि किस तरह से आप देश विरोधी शक्तियों के साथ खड़े हैं और देश के साथ नहीं खड़े हैं। धन्यवाद। देखिए, मैं एक बात जरूर कहूंगा, खाता ना बही जो भारत का सर्वोच्च न्यायालय कहे वो सही। आपने जो प्रश्न पूछा, सर्वोच्च न्यायालय ने उस पर फैसला दिया है। अब देश का विपक्षी दल सर्वोच्च न्यायालय के फैसले को मानता है या देश विरोधी एजेंसी को ज्यादा महत्व देता है, ये तो उनको तय करना है। Absolutely. This is the essence of the press conference as well. No individual, no agency could be above the law of the country. And in an ongoing action that is being taken by the income tax department, why is it that there is a tearing hurry by the opposition party, especially the Congress party, to give a clean chit to the agency concerned and try to do cheap and petty politics over the issue? Why can't they be more patient and wait for the report to come out? And also, I must add again, that if you have been following the law of the country and if you have nothing to hide, then why be so afraid of an action that is as per law? To that, I would only like to say that timing of the action of the agency or the IT department is not decided by any outside power government. Yes, during the Congress days, we all know how infamously the Congress government was told to stop interfering with the functioning of the CBI and called the premier investigating agency of the country a caged parrot. This was a comment made by the Honorable Supreme Court of India. देखिए, कांग्रेस पार्टी में ये एक ऐसा वायरस आ गया है, आम जनता से कोसों दूर हैं, लेकिन उनकी अपनी नजरों में वो हीरो हीरा लाल है। मैं इतना ही कहूंगा, जो विषय हमने उठाया है, जो भी संस्था है, जो भी कानून है, उसके तहत ही कार्रवाई होती है। तथ्यों के अभाव के कारण मैं और कुछ इस पे नहीं कहना चाहूंगा। ये जरूर कहूंगा, किसी को भी अपने आप को कानून से ऊपर नहीं समझना चाहिए। ये कोई नई बात नहीं है, लेकिन दुखद जरूर है कि जब भारत का हर नागरिक देश के शहीद जवानों को याद करते हुए उनको भावभीनी श्रद्धांजलि दे रहा है, तो कांग्रेस पार्टी में कुछ नहीं बदला है। कभी सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक और बालाकोट एयर स्ट्राइक का प्रमाण मांगते हैं। रणदीप सुरजेवाला होम ग्रोन टेररिज्म बता के जो शत्रु देश है उनको क्लीन चिट देते हैं। राहुल गांधी भारतीय सेना के लिए कहते हैं कि वो पिट गई। और मैं इतना ही कहूंगा, भारतीय राजनीति में कोई पिटा हुआ मोहरा है तो वो कांग्रेस है, और भारतीय सेना पर हर भारतीय को गर्व था, है और रहेगा। थैंक यू।
So we're staying with the story that we are tracking. You just heard Gaurav Bhatia of the BJP. Now he, in a sense, is also going about legitimizing these surveys, the IT survey that has been conducted in both the offices of Delhi and Mumbai of the BBC. And he has claimed that if an organization doesn't adhere to the law of the land, there'd be actions that are that they should be ready for. Now, what does one make of that is something that we will let the members of the BJP also respond to. However, the opposition is already up in arms, questioning the timing of the IT survey at the BBC premises, and they are calling it as a gagging of dissent. Taking this, in fact, before going across to my colleagues on the ground, we have got some more breaking news on the broadcast, and this is vis-a-vis IT sources that they have told CNN News 18 after reaching the BBC KG Marg National Capital Office and also the Mumbai office this morning. They have gone on record and they have claimed that they are conducting a verification of certain documents in the accounts of finance department of the BJP, and as per this survey, they are conducting verification exercise. That's what they are calling this survey. This is to seek clarification of any suspicious transaction that might have been done by the company, in this case the BBC. This department is also impounded some of the mobile phones, we are told, and also the laptops and desktops of people of accounts and finance department of the British Broadcasting Corporation. All this is happening both in Delhi and Mumbai simultaneously. Taking this across to my colleague Anshul, who's joining me on the broadcast. Anshul, more details that we have managed to access through the IT department sources. Now, they have gone on to set the record straight. They are claiming that this is a survey and there would be a due procedure that's going to be followed, that's needed to be done for surveys such as this.
Well, definitely. So finally, the Income Tax Department has come out with a statement. I spoke to a few officers on the ground, and they have given this exclusive information to CNN News 18, where they are saying that they are currently surveying the transfer pricing issue in this entire matter. They are also interrogating the amount of money that has been transacted from UK to India and vice versa. And basically the transfer pricing is being something that is being documented by the IT salutes who are inside the BBC office right now. So yes, all these documents are now being verified by the IT officials inside the BBC office at this point in time. What we have been told is that some of the phones and laptops have also been confiscated by the IT officials and the people and the employees who were present inside the office when the raids started at approximately 11:15 a.m. This morning. Their phones have also been taken into custody, and they have been asked not to use their phones while they are still inside the office premises. So yes, the raids are continuing at this point in time. Now it remains to be seen when finally the IT raids end. What are the findings that is being done by the IT team, and if those findings will be of any use in this investigation that is being carried out by the IT department in the national capital and in the financial capital of the country.
All right, Anshul, thank you so much for that. In fact, stay on with us. We will continue with our focus on this big story that we are tracking. Right now, what we are doing is slipping into a very short break and coming right back with all the latest on this big story. The situations, will this not be impacting the financial income and other stuff that obviously makes a part of the IT survey? Why else is the IT department involved?
So, basically, whenever there is some information which relates to some sort of tax evasion or financial evasion, tax evasion by any organization, and the government believes, especially the CBDT believes so, the Income Tax Department believes so, that there is some sort of tax evasion which has taken place, and that is why they can do a survey, and the survey can subsequently be turned into a raid.
Okay.
For any raid, you need basically the approval of the Director General, the concerned Director General of that zone. But here, if you need a survey, even a local officer can do a survey at a location, and if they believe so that there is some sort of tax evasion basically taking place. But obviously, when the organization is going to, when any government organization is going to BBC, an organization like BBC, then obviously, there will be eyebrows be raised. Reason being that there has recently been a film which basically targeted the current Prime Minister about the Godhra Royals. So certainly there will be eyebrows raised, but then these cases or these all obviously have to stand in the court of law. Whenever any action is...
Ashish, thank you so much for that. In fact, we are playing those live visuals from outside the BBC office in the national capital, where IT team is currently at for undertaking that very survey that my colleague Ashish Mehrishi was talking about. And the conjectures that are going to be made because of this survey are many. And on those lines exactly is the Congress party now responding. Let's listen into the reaction that's come in by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh over this IT survey at the BBC offices in the national capital and in Mumbai.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी...
And my colleague Nikhil, who was with us on the broadcast, is now live with us from outside the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, what do you see? Have you managed to ascertain any more details? What is happening there?
आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है। Outside the BBC office in the national capital Delhi, this is the particular building where we have been given to understand that a team of the IT officials, they are very much present at this particular place. But as far as the further details are concerned, we have been told that only the survey is currently underway. This is the reason why at both the major cities, in the national capital and in the financial capital as well, that is Mumbai, a team of the income tax officials, they are present. And as per the details, we have been also given want to understand that a while back, a few members or few officials, so to say, of the income tax, they had reached at this particular place. And if we talk about the precise location,
welcome back. We're getting some more breaking news on the broadcast, and this is as per the government sources. Today, we have been told that the income tax authorities who are going on to conduct a survey on BBC premises in Delhi and in Mumbai in view of BBC's deliberate non-compliance with the transfer pricing rules and its vast diversion of profits. That's what our government sources are telling us. Remember, in India, the transfer pricing law is codified under the Income Tax Act 1961. Taking this across to my colleague Maria Shakil, who is with us on the broadcast. Maria, what else are they talking about when it is about the IT survey at the BBC premises in Delhi and Mumbai?
Yes, so what the sources in the government are telling us is that the key focus of these surveys is to look into manipulation of prices for unauthorized benefits, including tax advantages. What sources are saying is that in case of BBC, it is an issue of non-compliance under transfer pricing rules. There has been persistent and deliberate violation of transfer pricing norms, and also that BBC has been involved in deliberately diverting significant amount of profits and have not followed the arm's length arrangement in the case of allocation of profit. So this is, if anything, a survey, not a search or a raid, and it is being conducted as per the provisions of Income Tax Act. And it has nothing to do with the editorial decision that has been taken by the BBC in terms of their documentary. Sources clearly saying that as a result of, there have been several, notices that have been issued to the BBC in the past. However, the BBC has been defiant and non-compliant, and that is the reason why this survey, not a raid, is being conducted at the BBC office.
And are the government sources saying anything about the reason why had they been so emboldened by being non-compliant as per this particular survey, now that the IT sleuths have landed at the premises of the BBC?
Well, the government are clearly saying that the key focus of these surveys is to look into manipulation of prices for unauthorized benefits, including tax advantages. And because these premises are in Delhi, are being, surveys are happening, it is being seen from that point of view that it is about transfer pricing rules and its vast diversion of profits. So clearly, as far as rules go, it's following of the rule book rather than any kind of an editorial manipulation.
Okay, so how then does one take this press conference that has been done by the BJP, Maria, where they are also talking about how they need to adhere to the law of the land, they can't go ahead, and they also go about talking about this BBC controversial documentary?
Yes, so what has happened is that because it is being seen from a political prism, the entire issue had played out in Parliament, and there are members of Parliament and certain other citizens also who have approached the Supreme Court, in which they say that this is, quashing of freedom of speech and expression. And let's not forget that there are those who have been raising it at multiple platforms, even inside Parliament, saying that why should a documentary not be screened in India when it has already been banned under the IT rules. What the government is going on to say that this has nothing to do with the documentary per se, that if anything, this is about BBC deliberately not complying with the transfer pricing rules and its vast diversion of profits. What they have gone on to say is that the surveys have been conducted with a view to investigate BBC's violation of the transfer pricing rules and its non-compliance rather than anything to do with the editorial decision that was taken in the context of the BBC documentary.
Absolutely. Maria, thank you so much for that. Taking this across to Yasha Kotak, my colleague, who's also live with us from outside the BBC office in the financial capital, Mumbai. Yasha, any more details? What really is happening? Are the IT sleuths still inside the BBC office in Mumbai?
Yes, they are very much present right here at this BBC office in Kalina. This is a BBC studios wherein they've reached say approximately 10 to 11 in the morning. And like we talked about, this scrutinizing certain documents because this pertains to tax pricing is what we've seen. There were also details mentioned by the IT sources wherein they are saying that there has been repeat offenders. That is, despite giving several notices, repeat offenders actually means that despite giving several notices, there were no compliance. So in that case, all the documents, all the financial transactions, made from UK to India and vice versa would also be scrutinized. So the scrutiny usually takes quite some time. So we'd expect that by evening is when we'd get a further update from you. Yes.
Yasha, like you mentioned, there were several notices that were sent out to BBC and they were non-compliant. Do we know about the details and the tenure during which this was sent out?
As of now, there is just a blanket statement which says that there were these details which were sent out, but there's no clarity as to which year these statements refer to. So once there's a bit of clarity, because these are transactions that we're talking about, it could range from the last 5 to 7 years is what we can understand as for the time frame. Yes.
Okay. Right now, anything that you're learning from your sources on ground, anybody who is willing to talk, Yasha, or there is a complete blanket gag order for people who are there at the premises, including the guards?
When we speak about, BBC employees, they've been asked to not speak because all their phones have been taken away. On the other hand, ITVC has already issued a statement. On the part of BBC, there'll be a statement that will be coming out soon. So as of now, in Mumbai, there's particularly no one who's speaking about. What we see right here at Kalina behind me is the office is right here on the 5th floor. So it is these guards actually are the guards which look after the security of the entire building, wherein there are several other offices also which are inside. So it's just one floor of this particular building where IT officials are there currently, and the only information that's coming in is from the IT side, whereas BBC employees have been asked to not speak or comment on this until an official statement has been released by BBC on this particular survey that we are talking about, because IT officials have clearly stated that it's just a survey because there's been non-compliance, and on the basis of this non-compliance is where these surveys are taking place, and it's not clearly a raid. As a part of this survey, they'll collect the documents and understand if there needs to be further action that needs to be taken. Yes.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for that, Yasha. So the government is claiming that the IT authorities are conducting this survey because of BBC's non-compliance when it comes to the transfer pricing rules, which are very much evident in part of the Income Tax Act 1961. However, the opposition is claiming otherwise. They are questioning the timing of this IT survey. And they are saying that it is only because and only after the BBC documentary has come out, and this is clear case of gagging of dissent. Let's take a look at the reactions that have come in.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि।
बीबीसी के अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो ये पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉरपोरेशन हो गई है। बीबीसी का जो इतिहास है, कलंकित, काला, द्वेष भावना से भारत के खिलाफ कार्य करने का रहा है। और कांग्रेस पार्टी को सबसे पहले तो ये याद करना चाहिए किस तरह से देश की प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी जी ने खुद बीबीसी पे बैन लगाया। क्यों ऐसा होता है कि कांग्रेस का हाथ देश विरोधियों के साथ हमेशा? पहला सवाल कांग्रेस पार्टी से यह पूछना चाहिए सबको। हम पूछ रहे हैं, जनता पूछ रही है। अगर एक संस्था, कानूनी संस्था अपना कार्य कर रही है और अभी वो कार्रवाई पूरी भी नहीं हुई है, उसका निचोड़, उसका निष्कर्ष बाहर भी नहीं आया है, किस आधार पर कांग्रेस पार्टी, समाजवादी पार्टी, तमाम विपक्षी दल जो भी देश विरोधी ताकत है उसके साथ खड़े हो जाते हैं।
Let me take this across to my colleague Nikhil, who's joining us live from the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, take us through what is happening over there. The IT sleuths still inside the BBC office?
Well, Greha, so yes, so all the officials who were present inside the building, they are still, carrying out their job, and we have been given to understand by the so-called highly placed sources in the department instead that this is something which should not be termed as a raid or as a search operation, but instead it is something which should be called as a survey, because this is the part which is as per the rules of the Income Tax Act. So these are the visuals that we are again showing you on the screen of the CNN News 18, and in fact we have been given to understand that as per the details there are certain serious allegations against BBC that they are continuously non-complying with the transfer pricing rules as per the late guidelines, and also they are diverting a lot of their profits. So this is something why the survey is currently underway, and also they have been saying that this should be, this is something which we have already mentioned, that this should be strictly called as a survey, because this is part of the routinely conducted exercise and not to be confused in the nature of a search operation or raid. So clearly there are some of the allegations which also says that the persistent non-compliance have been carrying on for years now, and few time back as well they were asked for the same, but since the agency they were not satisfied with the answers given or with the documentation, this is the reason why team of the IT officials, they are currently carrying out their job. We have been given to understand that 10 to 15 is the roughly number of the income tax officials who are currently present inside this particular building, and you can see that there are some of the people who can still be seen here. So not just there is office of BBC, as we have mentioned earlier as well, in this place, in this location of the KG Marg at the Central Delhi, there are other offices as well. And also what is important to note here, that this building where the survey is underway, this is right opposite to British High Commission, where a team of the IT officials are present, and also they are verifying the document, the balance sheet as well of not just the last financial year, but they have also sought the details for last many previous years. So they are going to tally, and they are also going to check the accounts, the financial timeline of the BBC India, and as to what are the transactions which are made by the company, and whether there is any form of tax evasion or not. This is something which is very much important. And are they filling their taxes on time and as per the routine rules or not? This is something which is very much part of the so-called survey. Back to you.
Nikhil, thank you so much for that. I'd request you to stay on with us as we'll keep our eyes on this big story that we continue to track. What we're learning at the moment through government sources is that it is to do with what they are alleging BBC's deliberate non-compliance with transfer pricing rules and its vast diversion of profits, and that's why this income tax survey is being conducted at two of its offices, both in Mumbai and in the national capital. We are shifting our focus. We are slipping into a very short break and coming right back.
Point out to any tax evasion. But as of now, yes, all we can confirm is that there is a survey which is happening at the BBC office in various locations, which include Delhi and Mumbai.
Okay. Ashish, thank you so much for clarifying that for our viewers. Once again, putting it out there, it's an IT survey that is happening at BBC offices in both Mumbai and Delhi. However, Ashish, this thing that you're mentioning about an income tax survey, this of course involves an investigation process that is carried out to actually ascertain the actual income and other, situations. Will this not be impacting the financial income and other stuff that obviously makes a part of the IT survey? Why else is the IT department involved?
So, basically, whenever there is some information which relates to some sort of tax evasion or financial evasion, tax evasion by any organization, and the government believes, especially the CBDT believes so, the income tax department believes so, that there is some sort of tax evasion which has taken place, and that is why they can do a survey, and the survey can subsequently be turned into a raid.
Okay.
For any raid, you need basically the approval of the Director General, the concerned Director General of that zone. But here, if you need a survey, even a local officer can do a survey at a location, and if they believe so that there is some sort of activity basically taking place. But obviously, when the organization is going to, when any government organization is going to BBC, an organization like BBC, then obviously, there will be eyebrows be raised. Reason being that there has recently been a film which basically targeted the current Prime Minister about the Godhra riots. So certainly there will be eyebrows be raised, but then these cases or these all obviously have to stand in the court of law. Whenever any action is...
Ashish, thank you so much for that. In fact, we are playing those live visuals from outside the BBC office in the national capital, where IT team is currently at for undertaking that very survey that my colleague Ashish Mehrishi was talking about. And the conjectures that are going to be made because of this survey are many. And on those lines exactly is the Congress party now responding. Let's listen into the reaction that's come in by senior Congress leader Jairam Ramesh over this IT survey at the BBC offices in the national capital and in Mumbai.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी...
And my colleague Nikhil, who was with us on the broadcast, is now live with us from outside the BBC office in the national capital. Nikhil, what do you see? Have you managed to ascertain any more details? What is happening there?
आवाज आ रही है? ठीक है. Outside the BBC office in the national capital Delhi, this is the particular building where we have been given to understand that a team...
Thank you so much for staying with CNN News 18. We have our eyes on this big story that we are tracking, which is to do with the IT survey at two of the BBC premises, one in the national capital, the other one in Mumbai. Now, various teams of Income Tax Department are currently conducting these surveys at both these locations, and these surveys are reportedly being conducted over allegations of taxation irregularities. And as per these sources, BBC in fact diverted significant amount of profits and did not comply under the transfer pricing rules. These are the allegations that have been made against the BBC. However, the opposition is questioning the timing of these IT survey that is being conducted at various locations. They are going about attributing these surveys to the BBC documentary that has just come out a few weeks back, and how the government also asked for banning of the documentary, which of course wasn't really allowed by the court. And now taxmen have come calling on BBC, and opposition is crying foul and calling it a gagging of dissent. However, what we are learning through highly placed sources that it is to do with non-compliance under the transfer pricing rules that are very much functional in India under the IT Act 1961, where there is an allegation, a strong one, against the BBC that they deliberately violated the transfer pricing norms. This is what we are trying to pick and ascertain from our sources. We are also being told these are the allegations against the BBC that they were non-compliant under transfer pricing rules. They were persistent and deliberately violative of transfer pricing norms. This is a strong allegation against the BBC, where they have been accused of being knowing about the non-compliance and yet going about doing it, as they were persistent and deliberately violative is what the charge against the BBC is. We also are learning, and that's another accusation against the BBC, that they were deliberately diverting significant amount of profits and they have not followed the arm's length arrangement, which is the Indian arm's length arrangement in the case of allocation of profit. We're talking about the UK-based British Broadcasting Corporation, which has its offices in India. One office is in the national capital, the other one in the financial capital of Mumbai, and where this IT survey is being conducted at simultaneously. My colleague Ashish Mehrishi, who tracks the IT department very, very closely, is with us on the broadcast. Ashish, now that we have ascertained this non-compliance under the transfer pricing rule, one thing that stands out is how they have also come on record and they have said that BBC was persistent and deliberately violating the transfer pricing norms. How was this even allowed?
In fact, until and unless there is certain evidence with the IT department, they usually don't knock the door of any organization. But as we were speaking in the morning as well, spoke
Ashish, there is a problem with your audio link. We'll have that reconnected and we'll come back to you. We'll try and establish that link, that connection with Ashish. Before we do that, let's cut across to the various reactions that this big story has attracted. Then we'll go back to Ashish.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि। यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में और वहाँ सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि।
जब दुनिया में नरेंद्र मोदी की रिजीम के बाद भारत की छवि और खराब हुई है, जिस तरह से नरेंद्र मोदी की रिजीम ने बीबीसी के जितने भी दफ्तर थे, कार्यालय थे, जिस तरह से इस पर फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन पर और जो अटैक हुआ है, ये दुनिया में भारत की छवि को और खराब करने वाला है। यूएसए में रहने वाले लोग वो सब जानते हैं कि गुजरात में आखिर नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने क्या किया था। समाजवादी पार्टी इसे डिफर करती है और ये बहुत ही शर्मनाक, भारत की छवि को दुनिया में खराब करने वाला कदम है।
बीबीसी के अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो ये पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉरपोरेशन हो गई है। बीबीसी का जो इतिहास है, कलंकित, काला, द्वेष भावना से भारत के खिलाफ कार्य करने का रहा है। और कांग्रेस पार्टी को सबसे पहले तो ये याद करना चाहिए किस तरह से देश की प्रधानमंत्री श्रीमती इंदिरा गांधी जी ने खुद बीबीसी पे बैन लगाया। क्यों ऐसा होता है कि कांग्रेस का हाथ देश विरोधियों के साथ हमेशा? पहला सवाल कांग्रेस पार्टी से यह पूछना चाहिए सबको। हम पूछ रहे हैं, जनता पूछ रही है। अगर एक संस्था, कानूनी संस्था अपना कार्य कर रही है और अभी वो कार्रवाई पूरी भी नहीं हुई है, उसका निचोड़, उसका निष्कर्ष बाहर भी नहीं आया है, किस आधार पर कांग्रेस पार्टी, समाजवादी पार्टी, तमाम विपक्षी दल, जो भी देश विरोधी ताकत है, उसके साथ खड़े हो जाते हैं?
Let me take this across to my colleague Anshul, who's now joining us on the broadcast. Anshul, on the one hand, we are learning that it is to do with the non-compliance of the BBC under the transfer pricing norms, because of which the IT sleuths are currently conducting this survey at the offices of BBC. On the other hand, there's this press conference that has been addressed to by Gaurav Bhatia of the BJP. Now, he is claiming that BBC has been corrupt and they have peddled propaganda and they need to adhere with the law of the land. How do we read these two situations?
So yes, this can definitely be seen as a shot in arm for the BJP, because if you see, the BJP has constantly been raising its voice against, in fact, not the top leaders, but yes, the workers of the BJP and some other leaders of the BJP have continuously been raising their voice against the editorial stand that is being taken by the BBC, and this is something that has also given a lot of ammunition to the opposition to attack the BJP on this point. But if you see, the statement from the income tax and the sources within the income tax department have indicated to us that this is nothing to do with the editorial stand of the BBC, but yes, this has to do with the financials intaking by the BBC from their London office to the India office, and this is not something that has happened just a few days ago. But yes, the income tax officers have been investigating this case for a very long time now, and today was the day when they decided to go ahead with the survey that we are seeing today. I am currently reporting from outside the BBC office in the national capital, where if you see these surveys have been going on since 11 a.m. this morning. So yes, it has been more than 4 hours since this survey has been going on inside all these. In fact, a few of the electronic evidences such as laptops and mobile phones have also been confiscated by the income tax departments, is what we are being told, and after rigorous interrogation with the electronic evidences that they have gathered, we can expect some more details to come out as to what has been found. But yes, currently the fraudulent transactions between the BBC London office and the BBC India office is something that the IT department is looking into. Still it is not being told that it is a raid. The income tax is still claiming that it is a survey, but the kind of action that we are seeing being taken by the income tax inside the BBC office, that is something that is very questionable, because during a survey the phones and the laptops are not seized. In fact, in surveys, what we are also being told that generally in surveys, people who are inside the offices, they are allowed to venture out, and they are in fact also allowed to use their mobile phones as well. But this time around, what we are seeing that in the offices, be it in Mumbai or in the national capital, the people who were inside, the employees who were inside the BBC office when the IT salutes went inside the office, they have been asked not to operate their phones, they have been asked not to operate their systems. So yes, the income tax department now needs to come out with a clear structure as to why were the employees asked not to use their phones, why were the employees asked not to use their laptops or official systems inside the offices. So yes, this is something that the income tax department needs to come out more clearly. But yes, at this point in time, what we are being told that the survey is continuing both in the national capital and in the Mumbai offices. So yes, once these rates, once the survey ends, it would be interesting to see as to what is the IT department saying right now, and if they have found any tangible evidence against the BBC from the survey that they have conducted for almost 4 hours now.
Okay, Anshul, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Good afternoon to all our viewers. Thanks a lot for staying with us here at CNN News 18. I am Ridhima Bhatnagar, and that is a story that we continue to track very closely. Sources are now telling us, and they're saying that multiple teams of the Income Tax Department are conducting surveys at the BBC offices located in both New Delhi as well as Mumbai. The surveys are reportedly being conducted over allegations of tax irregularities. As per sources, the BBC diverted significant amount of profits and did not comply under the transfer pricing rules. The BBC deliberately violated transfer pricing norms, is what we're understanding again by means of sources. BBC employees have also been asked to go home or stay at home. Meanwhile, the opposition has claimed that this is an undeclared emergency and the government is running behind BBC now. The Saffron Party has now hit back at the opposition for supporting anti-India elements. The BJP has also gone on to say that the BBC is a corrupt organization and has a history of promoting an anti-India agenda.
यहाँ हम जेपीसी की मांग कर रहे हैं अडानी के मामले में, और वहां सरकार बीबीसी के पीछे पड़ी हुई है। विनाशकाले विपरीत बुद्धि।
बीबीसी के अगर कृत्य देखें, जिसके उदाहरण मैं आपके समक्ष अभी पेश करूंगा, तो ये पूरे विश्व की सबसे भ्रष्ट बकवास कॉरपोरेशन हो गई है। बीबीसी का जो इतिहास है, कलंकित, काला, द्वेष भावना से भारत के खिलाफ कार्य करने का रहा है। और दुख की बात यह है कि बीबीसी का प्रोपेगेंडा और कांग्रेस का एजेंडा एक साथ मेल खाता है। मीडिया में अभी एक खबर आई थी,
जेपीसी में तो बहुमत
बीबीसी
सत्ता पार्टी की।
जिस तरह से नरेंद्र मोदी की रिजीम ने बीबीसी के जितने भी दफ्तर थे, कार्यालय थे, जिस तरह से इस पर फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन पर और जो
And now we have the first statement coming in from the BBC News press team also, and this is what it says, that the income tax authorities are currently at the BBC offices in New Delhi and Mumbai, and we are fully cooperating. The statement further goes on to say, we hope to have this situation resolved as soon as possible. So the first official word coming in from the BBC, where they in fact are confirming that there are IT teams present at their offices both in Delhi as well as Mumbai. The BBC statement also says that they are cooperating with the representatives of the Income Tax Department. The statement also further goes on to say that they're hoping to have this situation resolved as soon as possible. But that confirmation now coming in from the BBC that yes, in fact, you do have IT teams at their offices in Delhi as well as Mumbai. This is the BBC's first reaction to the surveys that are being carried out by the income tax team, both at their offices in Delhi as well as Mumbai. We'll try and get more details of if there's been any other sort of communication that the BBC has had with its employees. But earlier in the day, we had broken those details where there was an internal message that was circulated to the employees of the BBC asking them to stay at home and not come to office. And now the first reaction coming in of the BBC to these surveys that are being carried out by the representatives of the income tax team. There are surveys happening at the BBC offices in the national capital as well as Mumbai. Let's bring in all our colleagues who've been tracking all these developments. Anshul is joining us to track developments that are happening at the Delhi office of the BBC. We'll shortly be joined by Yesha also, who's tracking developments in Mumbai. But Anshul, the first crucial confirmation that's coming in from the BBC where they're confirming that yes, there are income tax officials present at their offices. They're saying they're cooperating. Any other details that you're picking up?
So yes, the BBC has finally come out with its first statement, and in the statement as well, the BBC has nowhere mentioned that this is any kind of raids that are happening inside the BBC campuses, be it in Mumbai or Delhi, and hence the income tax officials or the income tax sources that have been indicating to CNN News 18 that this is not an official raid. In fact, this is a survey that is being conducted, and now the BBC has also come up and confirmed that this is a survey that is being conducted. In fact, the BBC is saying that IT authorities, income tax authorities, are currently at the BBC offices in the national capital and as well as in the financial capital, and we hope that the situation is resolved as soon as possible. So yes, the survey that has been going inside the BBC campuses for more than 4 hours now, it seems it is very, very likely that it will continue for a few more hours, and it will be very, very interesting to see if the income tax department is going to find anything tangible against the BBC, and if at all they find anything tangible, then this survey can actually be converted into a raid, and we could expect more action to be taken against the BBC officials and also the people who are actually involved in these financial transactions. So yes, big update coming in from the side of the BBC at this point in time that yes, officials
and
are
let's talk
present
about that statement in some more detail. Anshul, I just request you to stay on with us. Let's also bring in our colleague Greya, who's joining us from our newsroom. Greya, just talk to us about what the statement says. Very carefully used words. It doesn't mention survey or even the word raid anywhere. It says, it just confirms that there are IT teams at the BBC office.
And it is pretty much on expected lines, Ridhima, considering we know about these IT survey that is being conducted at both these offices of the British Broadcasting Corporation. We did not expect anything but this, considering it is big news at the moment. So this is what the statement reads. This has been put out by BBC News press team. It says, and I'm quoting from the statement, the income tax authorities are currently at the BBC offices in New Delhi and Mumbai, and we are fully cooperating. We hope to have this situation resolved as soon as possible. So they have hinted at the fact that there are serious allegations that have been leveled against the BBC, calling them a repeat offender when it comes to non-compliance as per the transfer pricing norms are concerned, and how they have been violative time and again despite having been told not to do that. So these are serious allegations that have been leveled against the BBC. How did it get away with that? If at all there is any truth to these allegations, all of that is still unanswered. Right now, this is just a press note that has been released by the British Broadcasting Corporation, where they have said that the IT team is currently at the premises. They have not used, like you rightly said, the words like an IT survey or IT raids for that matter, and they are saying that they are fully cooperating with the authorities that are currently at their premises.
Okay, Greya, we leave the conversation there. So that was the fine print of the first statement that has been released by the BBC. Let's continue the conversation with our colleagues. Anshul continues to be with us. Nikhil is also joining us. He is also reporting for us from outside the BBC offices in Delhi. Yesha is also joining us on the broadcast, and she's tracking all developments taking place in Mumbai. Yesha, coming to you first. How many hours has it been since the IT teams have been at the BBC offices in Mumbai?
See, it's been around 4 to 4.5 hours ever since the IT team is here currently present in the Mumbai office. According to our sources, these raids, these surveys that the income tax talks about are being conducted at multiple locations. We know of Delhi, we know of Mumbai, but in Mumbai, according to officials, there are several other locations. But confirmed location right now, where we can see there are 12 officials currently present inside the office, is this very office at Kalina. They were here approximately at 10:30, 11, between 10:30 and 11, and they'd also taken help from the local police. As the protocol of the central agencies that's been followed, when central agencies conduct surveys or reach a particular location within the jurisdiction of that particular police officials, they have to inform the concerned team, which is where we see that right here behind me on the 5th floor of this building is where BBC office is. That's where we're seeing that surveys are currently on. Like you got, this is pertaining to non-compliance of several notices that were sent to BBC. In fact, what we see is that the IT department had already said to us, to the sources, that this was non-compliance, and there were repeated warnings that were given to BBC. It also pertains to transfer pricing that we understand, and according to the IT officials, it's being said that there were certain tax benefits as well as profits that were received to BBC, which were not reported by them to the income tax officials, which is where we now see that these transactions which took place between UK and India are also under the scrutiny of the IT team. What we now expect is by the end of this day, possibly we'd see IT officials coming out, or if they're not satisfied with their responses, this could go on for at least another day more in order to ensure that they get all these details. What IT department is currently looking at is all the financial transactions that are in place of BBC and the transactions that have taken place over the last several years and not just one financial year. Because when they speak of non-compliance, it's not just 1 year that they talk about, but over the last several years is the kind of data that IT department is actually looking at.
Okay. Yasha, we'll just request you to stay on with us. Let's bring in Nikhil also in the conversation. Nikhil, when we say this is a survey, how different is it from a raid? Also, I want to understand, has there been any other internal communication that has taken place from the BBC? Because earlier in the day, we had spoken to our viewers about how a message was sent asking employees to not come to office. Post that, has there been any other sort of internal communication within the BBC?
Well, Ridhima, if we talk about the survey in particular, as per these set guidelines, it is mentioned that it is a part of the routine protocol. So they are allowed to check each and every detail which are related to the business transactions. But as far as the rates are concerned, not just it is on the premises of the business place, but it could also be carried out simultaneously at the same time at the residences as well. So such is the thing which is not currently taking place. This is the reason why the IT officials are calling it survey so far. But again, these are the visuals, and also we have been given to understand that as we speak, the exercise is underway, and also they are going to check if any uninformed transactions have taken place. If they are not allowed as per the late guidelines. And also we have been told that several of the notices were earlier issued, but the IT officials were not satisfied with the same. This is the reason why now survey is underway, where all the documents are being scanned, and the BBC has been continuously defiant and non-compliant and has been significantly diverting their profits, is something which we have been given to understand by the highly placed sources in the IT department. And also they are going to check unauthorized benefits, including tax advantages as well. And these surveys have been undertaken due to BBC's persistent non-compliance of the norms, making it them as a repeat offender. This is something which is, Ridhima, very serious in nature. These are the serious allegations against the BBC which are currently operating.